I'm here with Morgan Templeton from Aradia Farm. They're located, said that right? All right, good. They're located in Southbury, Connecticut. They're not too far from us. We're here today to take a look at their Dexter cattle, but Morgan and her family do a whole lot more than just the cattle and the beef. So we're going to talk to you today, Morgan, and kind of get your guys' story.
Well, we've always had animals, but it was like, summer pigs, chickens.
Yeah.
But it was always just a hobby. Until 2013. I was unhappy with my job in Boston.
Yeah.
And my parents looked at me and said, well, why don't you turn this into a business?
Awesome. What were you doing in Boston?
I was working at Mass General Hospital
Okay.
in the Department of Anesthesia. I was an engineer there.
No way. Does that mean you're actually putting people to sleep?
No,
Okay.
I was just helping with like the documentation software.
Okay. I don't know how this works.
I watched a lot of people get put to sleep.
So you were in the hospital. What didn't you like about that?
I didn't like the corporate environment, just going to work every day and you don't really make a difference, so you don't feel like you make a difference. I wanted something more hands-on.
That's one of the things I think you're going maybe into medical work you feel like that will make a difference.
Right.
But then if you get stuck, doing paperwork and stuff, it's like, I want to actually do something. And here, I mean, you're doing something. So your parents, they were the ones who wanted to start the farm? They were the ones who wanted to see it become a business? Or did they just offer that to you as an option?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
They were not making money with it as a hobby. And so my mom
Sounds
was like,
familiar.
she was like, why don't we try to make some money with this?
Nice.
And then she kind of threw it out at me as not thinking I would really take the suggestion.
She was just being polite.
Yeah. And then I was like, that would be a good idea.
Yeah.
So
And here we are.
quit my job and came back to Connecticut.
Oh man, that's awesome. You left Boston, you came back to Connecticut. At that point, what was the farm like?
It was really just like 7 cows, I think.
Okay.
And then we had like 3 pigs and probably 25 chickens.
That sounds like a hobby, hobby level. I mean, what was your first step into, let's take this serious? What did you build? What part of the business did you build first?
Well, first we built the sales and we started doing farmers markets.
Okay.
And the big one was down in Westport, doing the Westport Farmers Market. And from there we started needing a lot more product, which means
That's a good problem.
needed more land, which is why we started leasing this.
Okay.
And then we needed water for our land, which is why we bought next door.
For those of you watching who aren't from Connecticut, we're in the more northern part of the state, and Westport is the southern part of the state, and it's a very wealthy area. So there's a lot of farmers in our area because we can afford to live in the northern part of the state. We can afford to have land, but then we take our goods down to the southern part of the state where people have more money to spend on a really high quality product. And so that's a really good lesson for anyone who wants to do something like what Morgan and her family are doing. So when you started growing the business, what was your did you have one primary enterprise or did you kind of diversify real quickly?
We started primarily with just the meat, just beef and pork. We'd always been doing maple syrup on a hobby level, and we're still kind of at that hobby level with the syrup. We don't do much. We only make about 10 gallons a year.
Okay.
And we turn a lot of that into sugar for the maple cotton candy and the maple glazed popcorn.
That sounds delicious. 10 gallons, that's about what we collect and then reduce down. So multiply that by so many. Your family got Dexter's in the beginning. Was it for beef?
Yes and no. They were pets, but it was always the expectation that eventually they would be eaten.
Pets with benefits.
Right.
So you had the beef in your business, the beef and the pork early on.
Pork, again, because we had done it as a hobby.
Right, you already had it.
We knew how to raise pigs.
Yep.
Pigs also convert a lot faster. Instead of 3 years, it's 6 months.
Can't beat
birth
that.
to death.
Love those pigs. You guys have grown now. You do skin products.
Yep.
You do cotton candy, right?
So the maple stuff, I was listening to a speaker from Cornell about all the different things you could do with maple and how to make more money with it. And that was one of the things he suggested.
Maple cotton candy. So cool.
So it requires very little sugar.
Oh.
Because cotton candy is just melted and then whipped.
Oh, so you're making a lot more money from much less product.
Exactly.
That makes total sense.
And then we found with that we had a lot of waste sugar that didn't get made into cotton candy. It was just sitting in the bottom of the bowl.
Right.
And that's how we started the maple glazed popcorn, because we didn't want to throw that away.
Love that. So you took your product, which you were saying you only got about 10 gallons of.
Yep.
So you're not going to make a lot of money from 10 gallons. If you sell it at, what does a gallon go for? $40 around here?
Roughly.
So $400, not really worth the effort.
Yeah.
Now you stretch that, you get way more cotton candy, which is a value-added product, which parents will buy every one of their kids a bag. Trust me, I know.
Yeah.
Like, all right, kid, yeah, of course you can have the cotton candy. I'm not going to say no. So you're making way more money off the same amount of product.
Yeah.
And then you take the waste from that and throw that on popcorn.
Right.
Love that. So now you have made lots more money from the value-added product.
Right.
How much with these food products did you have to get into, commercial kitchens and licensing and all that? Is this stuff tough to do?
We only do the cotton candy and popcorn at certain events.
Okay.
So we only need a temporary health permit.
Awesome.
So we just apply to that health district and get the permit for the day, and we just bring our hand washing and dishwashing station.
Love that.
So we don't have a commercial kitchen.
That is so...
It's just on the spot. We make it there.
I'm not a fan of red tape. I'm not a fan of all the legal stuff that especially our state's known for, making you jump through all these hoops.
Yeah.
And people can use those as excuses to not do it. They can say, oh, it's too hard, red tape, I can't do it. You have found a way to get around that.
Yep.
And when you find a way to get around it, you can make more money. You're working only at these events, so it's working, you don't have to do it every week, every week in, week out. I love that. That is such a clever way to get around that. So now you're going to what, fairs and...
Yep, Earth Day festivals. Sometimes we'll do it at the farmer's market.
Okay,
so.
Perfect. So you can do it right at the farmer's market.
Yep.
Nice summery day, parents and the kids. I know because every time we're at the farmer's market, we get a donut for the kids. Because you want to come here, kids, have something. Yeah. So perfect. You got a spot for parents to bring the kids. They get the cotton candy, they get the popcorn. Meanwhile, the parents are like, oh, grass-fed steak. Right. So you're selling everything.
Yep.
How about the skincare products? How'd you get started there?
So with that, we actually had some pigs that were not our usual Tamworth pigs. They were crossed with a guinea hog.
Wow.
Which guinea hogs are extremely fat animals.
Oh, okay.
They produce more fat than meat. And we thought because they were crossed that it might be okay, but they turned out to have more of the guinea hog than the Tamworth. So we ended up with a lot of fat.
Oh, okay.
And I mean, we get a decent amount from the Tamworth too. So we just had like a freezer full of fat, and we're like,
what are we gonna do with this?
This is hundreds of dollars of product.
Oh man.
We can't just throw it away, but nobody wants to buy just fat.
Right.
And so we started actually trying to make it into suet cakes for birds.
Mm-hmm.
And my mother was doing it, and she rendered down the fat into lard and started getting the bird seed, and it made a nice suet cake.
Yeah.
But they were going to be so expensive that nobody would ever buy
Feed the birds.
a suet cake for that
Even
much
in
money.
Southern Connecticut.
Right. But she noticed that her hands were very soft in the dead of winter.
No way. As she's making them.
Yeah.
Wow.
So she just kind of threw it out there one day of like, why don't you do a lotion? And so we started researching it.
Wow.
And it turns out it's really, really good for your skin. So we started making all kinds of different things. And
so cool.
Coming up with different recipes.
We have a freezer full of fat, and we don't even have the same, our pigs don't give the same amount of fat, but we do. We wind up with lots of fat at the end, and we render ours down and use it for cooking. Right. But man, if you could turn it into a value-added product where you're making good money on the returns, So awesome way to take that waste, turn it into a product. You have done so many different ways to make money from this farm. Do you find one of them is the home run, or is it the diversification that makes it a success?
We've kind of found that it's the diversification. I'm hoping that eventually the skincare and the soaps will take over that. But right now it's kind of a little bit of everything. And when you don't have a product, like one summer we didn't have any beef.
Right.
We only had ground beef for a while, and then we ran out of that. And we sold a lot less pork because of it. So people really wanted everything.
So having a farmer's market presentation with all kinds of stuff, bring the kids in for the kids in for the cotton candy. You do what the supermarket does, right? You got the candy there for the kids and the One more thing that I saw on your website that you guys do, which I think is great, similar to something we do, you do a meat CSA.
Yes.
And you've done not only just a beef CSA and a pork, you've combined them.
Yeah.
How did different CSA options help you sell to customers?
Most of our clients actually just take the mix. They like being able to choose.
That's great.
And in our CSA, it's not like you get, this is what you're getting this month. It's you can come take 5 pounds of whatever you want.
Wow, that's awesome.
So people like that flexibility. So they choose the size. It's either 5 or 10 pounds.
Right.
Based on how much meat they're going to eat that month.
Nice.
And then they can just choose. So if you want it to be all beef one month, it can be.
Wow.
So most people go with that option.
Yeah.
And then some people, I have one customer who had already bought a full cow from another farm. And we're just looking for pork. They have a freezer full of beef, so they just wanted pork. So they went with the pork only option.
When you allow them to choose, do you find everyone makes a run on the bacon, or does it seem to work out?
It seems to work out.
That's
so
impressive.
far. We've been doing it. We've had like 5 seasons, I think. Now. And it's just always people aren't greedy with one thing, or
they want to try everything.
Yeah.
That's great.
They'll take a thing of sausage and a thing of pork chops and a steak.
Wow.
And, they like to spread it out.
The weight wise, do they self-weigh it? Is it an honor system? How do you handle that?
Most of the weights are on the packages, so
Right.
they can see how much it weighs.
And just do the math.
Right. And I always say, it's a minimum of 5 pounds. So if that package is 1.2 pounds, count it as 1.
Oh, okay, nice.
So, and it's kind of an honor system from there.
Yeah. You guys sell through your website?
Yes, we do.
What has your best marketing endeavor been? How do you sell the most product?
Definitely through farmers markets.
Yeah.
Because people are there anyway. They run into us and they're like, oh, let me try this.
Yeah.
And because we have the variety of products,
that's it.
They can try
all kinds of different stuff. Do you spend a lot of time, is your farmers market presentation, is it a fancy one? Is it something that takes a lot of time? Do you find that's necessary? What's your presentation there like?
It changes every year,
Yeah.
and we find that it has to change every year.
Oh, okay.
If it doesn't change enough,
wow,
then people get tired of it.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, that's every retail store you ever go to is constantly changing, right?
Yeah.
You're doing a real business. This is your only employment?
Yes.
That's awesome. And it's all your business and you make all the income from it.
Yep.
You don't have to go work another job. There's so many people watching this video that want to do that. They want to quit working at the hospital and work on the farm. What advice would you have for them?
Well, in the beginning, I did have like little odd jobs. I do coach volleyball, so I make a little bit of extra income.
That helps.
Off that.
Yep.
But my biggest piece of advice is that you just have to network with people and tell everyone you know about what you sell and make them buy it.
That's good. Start off, don't dive in doing only this in the beginning. Start off with some side jobs, a little bit of a support system. Get those friends and family, let them know everybody you meet. You got to be able to talk to everybody you meet, just random humans in the store. Oh yeah, well, I have a farm, I do that all the time. Having a diverse array of product to offer and being there at the farmer's market. Those 4 takeaways, guys, if you want to do what Morgan's doing here and be a farmer full time, take that advice and run with it. If people want to ask you any questions, maybe buy your product, learn more about what you do, where can they find out information?
You can go to our website, aradiafarm.com. You can buy online. We don't ship the meat, but if you're local to the area, we do offer delivery.
Cool.
And all of the maple and skincare we do ship.
Awesome. So you can buy maple and skincare meat. If you're local, you can get it.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching, guys. Go ahead and check out Aradia Farms, and we'll see you soon.